I'm Andrea Meluzzi.
My name is Captain Joshua Smith.
My name is Chris Halstead.
My name is Laurie Harkness.
My name is Rob Henderson.
My name is Briana Burroughs.
I'm a sergeant at Yale Police Department. I work midnights. Prior to this, I got out of the Army and
I'm the Marine Officer Instructor for the Yale University Naval ROTC.
Both of my parents are retired from the Navy. My dad was in 30 years.
I did 14 years in the United States Army, 8 of that in the Connecticut Army National Guard.
I'm an Eli Whitney student at Yale and a U.S. Air Force veteran.
And I am the director of VA Connecticut's Errera Community Care Center.
I definitely think Veterans Day should be a day for awareness and talking about issues that affect people in the military, and not just people in the military, but their families as well.
Well, I wish people understood that serving in the military is a huge sacrifice on oneself and their families, and it takes a lot of courage to put that uniform on and try to do the right thing for yourself and for your country.
So the relationship between ROTC, or even the military, and Yale is a lot longer. It's a lot older than what many people realize. It dates back to the 1920s. Yale was one of the original ROTCs in the nation. The naval aviation actually began here. And so the military history here, and even if you look closely enough at the architecture, it's more intertwined than what a lot of people imagine. So we've got incredible military history here. The values of the military and the values of Yale and our aspirations for our students are so similar and intertwined, and their trajectory so similar, that I think we're all in agreement that it's a good thing for the student, it's a good thing for the future of the nation.
I've stayed in the VA for 39 years because it's the most wonderful place that I could think of working. There's great variation from one VA to another. We're lucky here in West Haven at Yale. We have one of the top 5 VAs in the country. And we have the best practice models here. The more I talk to veterans, particularly the veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, I say, why did you join the military? And that, it's not because they're playing their Game Boys and think that what they see in the Game Boys is what war's about. It's often because they can't go to college, they can't afford college on their own. So it's a way to get upward mobility, is that they're very proud. They're proud to be Americans, is they want to give something back to their country, is that they have family members or have friends that are their heroes, is that have given them this wish to be like them, is that for many of our people it's to get out of the communities where they live, is for some people is this idea of what am I going to do next, is not everybody's ready to go to college, is that, but almost 99% of people I talk to, what they say is, I wanted to do it for my country. Transition
from veteran or from active military to the civilian world, it's a very important and sensitive topic. I'll just say culturally, and especially as an officer in dealing with enlisted troops, it's certainly a priority.
It's been 5 years since I've been out of the military, and I'm pretty much still somewhat transitioning from military service to civilian life.
It's funny because when you're trying to readjust and you come back to the States and now all the craziness has dropped and now you're just trying to be a normal person, then things start to come out, and especially when you go to therapy, you realize certain things that maybe would be your problem.
I received a mild traumatic brain injury from my deployments in Afghanistan and Iraq. I don't think they understood the effects of what war trauma is like on their soldier, or the effects of post-traumatic stress and the residuals of what that kind of trauma, how that affects the person, because it doesn't happen right away all at once. It happens over time.
BMP, it's a Russian infantry vehicle that the Iraqis had, and it fired right in front of me. It was off to the right, obviously friendly. They didn't have BMPs, luckily. And it's just this sound and explosion. So I hop out and everything just hit me all at once, and I was oh my God. And for a second I was I do not want to be here. I just want to go home. And like it was like this twist of just intense panic and for some reason that I've been beating myself up for that ever since. Not to utilize like another tragedy, but like Newtown, that shut me down for like a couple days because I actually had to book off. I couldn't even go to work because just the thought, like all I could think about was that moment of fear that I had. But being an adult and being trained, like I could rationalize, and we're talking this probably took like, it was like maybe 5 seconds where I just froze and snapped for a sec. But just that, like I was able to rationalize my way out of it. So for me to think about Newtown, like children, like they have no way of, you know, a 4-year-old in that instance, like they don't know what's going on. So that to me, like I couldn't even handle it, just a thought. So it just kept playing over in my head. So it made everything a lot worse. But I guess I can go through peaks where like I'll start, you know, my PTSD symptoms might start coming back, and that's common for a lot of people. They have trouble like dealing with certain things. So it's never easy, and the transition probably really doesn't end for a lot of them, for a lot of veterans, I'd say.
By the time people get here, they feel totally alone, disenfranchised, forgotten, full of pain, full of hopelessness, is that our country sometimes doesn't bring our soldiers home very well.
As someone who's, you know, my dad's been in for 30 years. My dad missed birthdays, and he missed anniversaries with my mom. But there were definitely nights where you know your dad's away and you don't know where he is because he can't tell you. And there's a war going on, or there's something else that you hear and you just have nightmares because you don't know. And that's really tough, knowing that it can affect you directly if your parents or your friends or your brother or your sister could die because of incompetence within the system post-military, as well as all of the dangers that they're putting themselves in while they're out fighting for this country that all of us love so much.
Like my wife got 3 phone calls from me in combat because I had a little Errera cell phone. So it like speed dialed her, and she'd answer, and I'm not knowing it's calling her. And all she hears is like gunfire and screaming and running around. So it was a mess. So like she has her own issues, you know, that she bears, I guess, from things like that.
So back 20 years ago, we became aware nationally that every single night there were over 750,000 homeless veterans across the streets of America. And those are 2 words that I never thought I'd hear together, veteran and homelessness. So we started a massive campaign to try to take this disgraceful situation and take people who are heroes, but who have come on hard times, whether because of mental illness or addiction, or because of joblessness, or because of divorce, and try to make sure that we could offer them the chance to get back their lives. So for what we were able to do was, here in our state, is form a whole coalition of people that cared, and there are lots of people that care about the plight of veterans, and that were willing to be at a table to strategically plan how here in Connecticut we could not only deal with this problem, but end the issue of homelessness.
I think that Yaleys every day commit themselves to volunteering and to getting out and knowing the people that are disadvantaged and making sure that they understand those stories and spread those stories and help them in every way, whether it's fundraising or policy, because we have that clout. I just think that that's our responsibility, and we need to look at this Veterans Day and every Veterans Day, reevaluating what we're already doing to help veterans and making sure that we're doing as much as humanly possible for the people that are keeping our country safe every day and are allowing us to even be in this type of institution.
I also appreciate the fact that people who have served allow us to live in a country where you don't have to think about it, where you aren't required really to even care that it's Veterans Day. So that kind of freedom is something that I enjoy and that I keep in mind.
People in the military are not the missions. The people in the military are the people. the people in the military are the family members. The people in the military are the ones that care enough about those around them that they've decided to dedicate their lives to this, and that's why we owe to them that we go beyond ideology or whatever. We think about what's going on outside of our country and in foreign affairs, and we think about the actual people that are being affected by it and all the sacrifices that they're making.
I'm still here. I'm not a statistic, though. I mean, sometimes that crosses my mind. I'm still here. I'm not a statistic.